laws and regulations. First thing, let us study, because in the MCQ, certainly a question is expected on the applicability of NOCLAR. Right, first question expected to be coming from NOCLAR is regarding the applicability of the NOCLAR. Okay, applicability of NOCLAR, right now it is applicable to the CA in practice who is doing the stat audit of the listed entities. CA in practice who is doing the stat audit of the listed entities, and CA in service who is employed in a listed entity, who is an employee of a listed entity. Right? So you are a CA in service, you're working in Tata Motors, NOCLAR applicable to you. Right? And you are a CA in practice and you're doing the stat audit of Tata Motors, NOCLAR applicable to those CAs. So NOCLAR applicable to both CA in practice also and CA in service also. But right now restricted only to the listed entity audit or listed entity employment. Listed entity audit or listed entity employment. Okay, now what does it say? Okay, you are doing the audit or you are an employee of a listed entity. Are you all with me? You are doing the audit of a listed entity or you are an employee of a listed entity. And while you are doing the audit, while you are an employee of the listed entity, you come to know that this listed entity is doing a lot of terrorist financing. Example, yes, they are doing a lot of terrorist financing. Or there is a lot of adulteration. There is a lot of inferior quality goods which are being manufactured by this company, which is leading to health hazards of the people consuming those goods. Like just as an example I'm taking, like now it is not relevant to this, but just to create an example, you are an employee of a listed entity and you come to know that in their food, there are a lot of worms or there are a lot of lead. And a lead is there in the Maggi or that type. And a lot of lead is there in the food of the company. Now, it does not affect the accounting. Whether there is worms or whether there is lead in the food being manufactured by the company, it does not affect the accounting of the company. But who came to know this? The auditor of the listed entity or the employee, CA employee of the listed entity. Okay, which could be leading. So this is just example which you gave you over there, which could be leading to substantial harm. Substantial harm. Or this company, they have done it fine, what do you say, tie up with some particular underworld connection over there. And through that now, there is an imminent breach. Imminent means what? Which has not yet happened, but which is about to happen. That they are going to put a bomb in some particular factory of the company and then that bomb is going to explode in the next 2 days or so. Such type. And such type. So don't only check, it's not only Factories Act and Gratuity Act and Income Tax Act. They are going beyond that now. And now, so far, if the auditor of the listed entity or the employee of the listed entity, when he comes to know about these matters, he would be turning a blind eye. Oh, I don't know anything. Don't ask me. I don't know anything. That type. And the CA was turning a blind eye. And he says, no, I didn't see anything. No, I don't know. I never saw a bomb coming to the company. I don't know any underworld don talking to the company board. So turning a blind eye. That is one, CA, what they were doing. And second, what does it say? They say, no, how to tell anybody? Confidentiality, not to disclose secrets of client. And not to disclose secrets of employers, 112 and 222. And third, when CA came to know, okay, lot of problem happening in this company, he says, bye-bye. Withdraw from the engagement. Withdraw. The resignation of the company auditor. He came to know something like that. He says, bye-bye. Withdraw from the engagement. Right. So then, because there was no law which said that CA, you have a responsibility to report. You have a responsibility to bring it to the attention of the management. Have a responsibility to bring it to the attention of the appropriate authority. That is why Code of Ethics of ICAI said, okay, let us put NOCLAR into the Code of Ethics only for a chartered accountant. That is why. So now you will say there is no requirement by any law. No. Why should I unnecessarily fall in trouble? Before, NOCLAR was not there. No. So is the auditor required to report on any of such thing? Or is the employee of the listed entity required to bring it to the attention? No. But now once you become a chartered accountant, you're bound by the Code of Ethics. And now in the Code of Ethics, they've mentioned about the NOCLAR. Are you understanding that? And now, what does it say? Normally, when you come to know about any NOCLAR or when you come to know about any suspected NOCLAR, Okay, there is already a non-compliance or there is possibly a non-compliance of law regulation which is about to take place. One, what is the normal route? That you first inform it to the management, right? You inform it to the board of directors, you take legal advice, we'll see all that. And then you inform it to the management. Okay, but now, see, what has happened, you have come to know that there is lead which is there in the company food products that they are manufacturing. If the employee CA or the auditor of the listed entity, if he tells it to the management, they will press the matter. They will press the matter. They will not allow it to come out only. You understand? So it says in extreme scenario. So when the CA comes to know, okay, first I inform it to the management, it is not going to do good. Then extreme scenario, it says CA, now the CA in practice, CA in service. You always remember that. Listed entity, I've already discussed applicability. In extreme scenario, the CA has now the duty to report the NOCLAR or the suspected NOCLAR directly to the appropriate authority. So this is a great power. Okay, now say listed entity who come to know they've not complied with law. Can the CA in service or CA in practice directly report it to SEBI? Yes, he can now directly report it to SEBI also. Right, and is it only regarding the non-compliance with law regulation affecting financial statements? No. See, what is covered in 250 is there in NOCLAR also, but NOCLAR goes beyond that. Yesterday, that's why I took 250 with you. 250 laws and regulations were divided under two. One which have a direct effect and the other laws and regulations. So what is covered in 250? Is it covered in NOCLAR also? Yes, but NOCLAR goes beyond that. It says also any non-compliance which could cause substantial harm. That is the word they use over there. Or serious consequences to the entity, or to the general public also, or to the investors also, or to the creditors also. Right? Let us try to also appreciate what is the difference between SA 250 and NOCLAR. Right? Let us also see. Right? So we'll come to this point, but whatever I have discussed with you so far. Now, yes, we are talking about the non-compliance of laws and regulations by the listed entity. Who found out? The auditor of the listed entity or the employee of the listed entity. CA, he found out about that. Okay, now, what happened? One of the director of the company, he broke the traffic rules, or he did not follow the COVID guidelines. And he did not follow the traffic rules, and he did rash driving or something like that. He was found he did some rash driving, bumped into a hit and run case or something like that against the director of the company or so. Or he did not follow the COVID-19 protocols. He had the stamp of that quarantine and still he was roaming around in Rome. Example. Okay, now this personal misconduct of the employees is not covered in the NOCLAR. Personal misconduct of the employees, the directors of the listed entity, is that to be required to be reported by the CA? No, that is not required to be reported by the CA. Right, so now let's come to the various possibilities of the questions regarding NOCLAR coming in the exam. One, they've given a wonderful list of examples which would be covered in the NOCLAR. Right, so starting with the highest level of fraud, corruption and bribery. Right, so fraud, corruption, bribery, money laundering, terrorist financing, proceeds of crime. Right, securities market and trading. So now fraud is to the highest. No, you just, what you say, wipe off the company. Then what does it say? Money laundering, terrorist financing and the proceeds of crime, all the underworld connection. Then now coming more towards the company, you're doing the fraud in the security trading, insider trading type of a situation. Right, then banking and other financial products and services fraud being done, non-compliance, higher amount of loans being given or so. And a data protection. So again, data is not being done, the data is being leaked. And I say Domino's, in last 5 years, who all ordered the food from Domino's, that data is being leaked. Example. Right, so data protection, environmental protection, public health and safety, like I told you, the lead and the worms. Right, so public health and safety, tax and pension liabilities and payment. Right, so these are the examples of the non-compliance given in the NOCLAR. Right, so could be again the first direct question. So anyways, I've marked it entirely R raised to 100. So each of them equally important. Right, each one of them equally important. You better learn this by heart. Learn it. And fraud, corruption, bribery, money laundering, terrorist financing, proceeds of crime. Three points over there. Right? Then securities market and trading, banking and other financial products and services. So two points over there. And then data protection, environment protection. So 2 points regarding the protection over there. Then the public health and safety, and tax and pension liabilities and the payment. Right? Tax and pension liabilities and the payment. Right? Then what is the applicability of NOCLAR? Right? ISBA. What is ISBA? The International Ethical Standard Board of Accountant. Right? Makes NOCLAR applicable to all assignments in case of members in practice and to all employers for members in service. However, the ICI code, as of now, Institute has restricted applicability of NOCLAR to audit assignments of listed entity in case of members in practice, and for the members in service, applicability has been restricted to employees of listed entity only. So audits of listed entities and employees of listed entity. That is the applicability of the NOCLAR. Is it clear to everyone? Okay, then in case of a professional, in case of providing a professional service to a client or carrying out professional activities for an employer, can anybody interpret these two words written over there? In case of providing a professional service to a client or carrying out professional activities for an employer. CA in practice, CA in service. है ना? CA in practice doing audit of listed entity, CA in service doing service employee of a listed entity. Everywhere they will use these words now. Right. A professional accountant may come across an instance of the NOCLAR or suspected NOCLAR. So not only non-compliance, but you think it might be a non-compliance in the near future. Committed or about to be committed by the client or by the employer or by TCWG, management or employees of the client or the employer. So who is doing the NOCLAR or the suspected NOCLAR? The client or the employer. Client for CA in practice, employer for CA in service, or by TCWG, management or employees of the client or the employer. Right? So maybe we can use one color for the CA in practice. And one color for the CA in the practice. Right. Then non-compliance with law regulation comprise of acts of the omission or commission, intentional or unintentional. So it could be completely not complying with the law or partially not complying with the law, either knowingly or unknowingly, which is contrary to the prevailing laws and regulation committed by, what does it say? Again, a client, a TCWG of a client, management of a client, and other individuals working for or under the direction of the client. So if I talk about client point, it is all for the CA in practice, right? It is all for the CA in practice. And what is the second set over there? Carrying out the professional activities for an employer or employer. So what does it say? Non-compliance with law regulation, omission or commission, intentional or unintentional, now committed by professional accountants employee organization or by the employing organization. Employing organization. So employing organization is for the CA in service, and for CA in practice we call it as the client. Are you able to understand? Now, who has done the non-compliance? The client or the TCWG or the management of the client or the other individuals who are working for or under the direction of the client. So even the lawyers of the client or the employing organization could be covered over here? Yes. Because what does it say? The other individuals working for or under the direction of the client of the employing organization. Even they are covered over here. Is it clear to everyone? Right. So NOCLAR under revised code of ethics does not address the personal misconduct, right? So personal misconduct is not related, right? So unrelated to business activities of the client or employing organization and non-compliance by parties other than listed out in the definition of the NOCLAR. Okay. What is the objective? Why did they come up with the concept of NOCLAR? So that the professionals don't turn a blind eye. Right, so that they don't turn a blind eye. Okay? Oh no, I don't know anything. To potential NOCLAR is not an appropriate response from professional accountant. And so not just to run away. Oh, I didn't see anything. I don't know anything. Right? So not to turn a blind eye. Turning a blind eye is not an appropriate response from a professional accountant while replacing renewed emphasis on the roles of the management and TCWG in addressing the matter. It increases awareness and understanding among the professional accountants of their legal and regulatory responsibilities when they face the no clerk. When they face means when they come to know about a non-compliance with the law regulation. Now, some important facts about no clerk are given below. Now, is it now that when I'm doing an audit of a listed entity or when I'm employed in a listed entity, I'll keep on looking out, okay, oh, is there any non-compliance? Is there any non-compliance? No, you'll not go out of the way. And you might come to know, like what we study in 143.12 also. If an auditor in the course of performance of his duties as an auditor has reasons to believe that an offense involving fraud. So I was doing my audit, and while doing an audit, I come to know some 1 crore or above fraud has been committed. Then it says report to the central government. But not that because I want to report to central government, I will find a 1 crore fraud. It doesn't go that way, no. I'm doing audit, I came across a fraud, and then I have to report it. So here also, what does it say? During the course of providing a service or when you're working for the employer. Right? So no clerk will be applicable if a professional accountant encounters or is made aware. So either he notices or it is reported. He's told about it. A non-compliance or a suspected non-compliance in the course of providing a professional service to a client. He is not required to investigate nor possible for ensuring the complete compliance. Okay. Then after that, does it mean that now CA you should have expert knowledge of all laws and regulation? Only then you will be able to identify the no clerk or suspected no clerk. It says expertise of laws not required. He is not expected to have a level of knowledge of law regulation greater than that which is required to undertake the engagement. Right? So in the course of audit, no extra knowledge of law which is required. Whatever is required for doing audit, that much knowledge is enough. Then matters which are clearly inconsequential, right? So something which is having no effect or relating to personal misconduct pertaining to business activities of the client are not covered, right? So clearly inconsequential and personal misconduct not covered. And disclosure which is contrary to law, obviously again that matter is not to be reported. And always what do we say? Unless required by law regulation. So if law regulation does not allow you to say about the matter, then you're not supposed to report about the matter. Right. So another question regarding no clerk which could be coming in the exam is regarding the no clerk versus SA 250. Right. So what is the first point of difference? It is regarding the applicability. So to whom is SA 250 applicable? It is applicable to the audit of financial statements. So only applicable for CA in practice when he is doing the stat audit of the listed entity. Whereas no clerk is applicable to CA in practice as well as the CA in service. So that's the first point of distinction. 250 is only applicable on audit and not on the other assurance engagement. However, no clerk is applicable on professional accountants in service and in practice. Among those in practice, it applies to auditor as well as professional services other than audit, right? So not only to stat audit, but also applies to other than audit. Right, other than audit. Then 250 talks about the non-compliance with the laws and regulations which have a direct effect and also the other laws and regulation. Right? Did we study that? Right, direct effect and also the other laws and regulations. What does it say? No clerk, while being alike to SA 250 till this point. So same what is covered in 250 is also covered in the no clerk, is further ahead of it taking into account non-compliance that causes the substantial harm resulting in serious consequences in financial or non-financial terms. Right? So substantial harm, serious consequences in financial or non-financial. So if lead is there in the company product, it is not going to affect financial statements, but non-financial, it could cause a substantial harm. Right. So what is covered in SA 250? Direct effect and the other laws and regulations, right? And the other laws and regulations. Is that covered in no clerk also? Yes. But what does no clerk also cover over there? It's the non-compliance that may cause the substantial harm. Yes, resulting in the serious consequences, whether in the financial or non-financial terms, right? So serious consequences in the financial or the non-financial terms. Okay. Then next point of distinction over there. 250 does not define stakeholders. So 215, they've not mentioned about, okay, if we come across a non-compliance, the reporting is to be done. But as such, does it define the stakeholders? No, 250 does not define the stakeholders. Whereas in NOCLA, stakeholders has been defined as investor, creditor, employees, as well as the general public. Right, so general public also, right? So who is the, yes, people identified for NOCLAR? Investors, creditors, employees, and also the general public. Right, employees and also the general public. Okay. Then what did I tell you? That if you come to know about a non-compliance in extreme scenario, right, in NOCLAR, then do you have access to the appropriate authority? Can you directly report the matter to the appropriate authority? Yes, as per NOCLAR, in exceptional circumstances, are you all with me? As per NOCLAR, in exceptional circumstances, the professional accountant might become aware of an imminent breach. Imminent means about to happen. What do you mean by the word imminent? Something which is about to happen. Right? Imminent breach of law regulation that would cause substantial harm to the investors, creditors, employees, or the general public. Having first considered whether it would be appropriate to discuss the matter with the management or TCWG. So first I think, okay, whether I should first tell it to the management, TCWG, the accountant shall exercise professional judgment and determine whether to disclose the matter immediately to an appropriate authority in order to prevent or mitigate the consequences of such imminent breach. Right? So what does it say? Could it, in exceptional circumstances, do they have also the power to immediately bring it to the attention of the appropriate authority? Right? So exceptional circumstances. What does it say? First considering that should I first tell it to the management, then you say no. Exceptional circumstances, directly bring it to the immediate attention of the appropriate authority, right? Attention of the appropriate authority. Is there any such provision in SA 250? No. Yes, what does it say? This provision is not existent in SA 250, right? So this does not exist in SA 250, right? Then we've already discussed regarding the applicability of NOCLAR. Now coming to responding to NOCLAR. So you came to know. So now it is in your duty. It's in your code of ethics when you come to know about any NOCLAR or so. So now what does it say? Responding to NOCLAR. They've created 3 headings over there. But first, what is the first heading over there? In case of the employment, it says the NOCLAR has been identified by the senior professional accountant in service or other than the senior professional accountant. So senior professional accountant in service would be like the board of directors or the audit committee of the listed entity. They are also employees of listed entity only now, or other than the professional accountant. And then we have the responsibilities of the professional accountant. This is for CA in practice, right? So 1 and 2 over here is for CA in, yes, CA in service. CA in service who are in the senior professional accountant or other than the senior professional accountant. Other than the senior professional accountant. And 3 is the responsibilities of the professional accountant when you're doing the audit of the listed entity. And what are the steps to be taken for responding? Now what has happened? You have come to know about a NOCLAR or a suspected NOCLAR. So first now what you will do? You will have to understand the matter. Okay, what is the non-compliance? What is happening? You say, let me know now. Really, let me understand what exactly is happening in this company. So obtain an understanding of the matter. Then you address the matter. Now you say, okay, now I have understood. Okay, what is exactly happening? Now let me address the matter. Now, it's a critical matter over here. So it says, don't jump directly into any decisions or so. It says, first seek the advice. And so advice you can take of any lawyer or so. Right, so understand the matter. So you say, first explain me what exactly is happening. Or auditor says, let me first understand what is happening. Then address the matter. Then seek the legal advice. Then determine whether further action is needed. He says, no further action is needed. So over. He says further action is needed. So then you determine whether they disclose the matter directly to an appropriate authority. right? Whether I should first discuss the matter with the management, or should I, exceptional circumstances, directly report it to the appropriate authority. And then whether there is any imminent breach which is about to happen, any non-compliance, and then CA, you also need to maintain the documentation for the same. Right, CA, you also need to maintain the documentation for the same, right? So steps to be taken for responding to NOCLAR goes without saying. Again, it could be a retail question in your exams. What does it say? First, understand the matter. Before that, take a deep breath. Why? Because you've identified a NOCLAR. So you say, okay, now what to do? Let me understand exactly what has happened. Then after that, address the matter. Then seek legal advice. Then check whether any further action is needed. Then check whether you need to directly report it to the appropriate authority. Then imminent breach. And then last one, the documentation. What does it say? It may be noted that in a situation where disclosure ought to be made by the auditor to the appropriate authority for the purpose of disclosure will depend on the nature of the matter. So the question is, who is the appropriate authority? So it says in case of the, the appropriate authority would be SEBI in case of the fraudulent financial reporting. And obviously it says the code has kept in mind the requirements of the confidentiality. So it's 112, not 111, clause 1, part 1 of the second schedule, and also 222, right? So 112 and also the 222. Right, breach of confidentiality for CA in practice and breach of confidentiality for CA in service. And also, what are the documentation requirements in NOCLAR? Right, so whenever the CA has come across any NOCLAR, what documentation he should keep regarding the same? How management TCWG have responded to the matter. Right, so auditor identified or the employee of the listed entity identified, but how the management TCWG have responded to the matter, the course of action the accountant considered, the judgments made, and the decisions that were taken having regard to the RITP test. Do you remember about the RITP test? The independence of the auditor. Reasonable and informed third party test. Okay, what would a third party would have done had they come to know about such NOCLAR? Right, so what documentation should be kept by the auditor? How management TCWG responded to the matter. Then the course of action the accountant considered, the judgments made, the decisions which were taken, and having regard to the RITP test. Right, so how did the accountant consider the matter? What judgment did he make that he decided I will report it or not report it, and the decisions that were taken. And how the accountant is satisfied, oh my God, so wonderfully written, that the responsibility of public interest has been fulfilled. And like a feeling of patriotism type. So here it says, yes, I have stopped a big fraud or a big wrongdoing happening to the society as a whole. Right, so how the accountant is satisfied that the responsibility of public interest has been fulfilled. Right, so you see any of those series which are on the various OTT platform, you see, some of them, they disclose whatever underworld or any crime which is happening over there, right? So here it says, now CA, you also need to report on any crime or so which is happening in the company or so, right? So the accountant is satisfied that the responsibility of public interest has been fulfilled. And this documentation is in addition to complying with the documentation requirement as per the auditing standards, right? So SA 230, right? SA, for example, require a professional accountant performing an audit of financial statements to prepare documentation sufficient to enable him an understanding of the significant matters, then discussion of the significant matters, and also document the identified or suspected non-compliance. So this documentation 1, 2, 3 is in addition to the documentation which is required as per the auditing standards 1, 2, 3. Right, so this is an additional documentation requirement. So if we try to put it in a nutshell, right, what all questions could be asked? 1, what is NOCLAR? 2, yes, applicability type of question. Then what are the examples of NOCLAR? Objectives of NOCLAR. Then some important facts about the NOCLAR. Then NOCLAR versus 250. Then the applicability already covered in the beginning. Responding to NOCLAR. Then you have the documentation requirement and also the confidentiality provision. Right, and also the confidentiality provision, right? Is it clear to everyone? right? The N is NOCLAR. That is what we call it as the NOCLAR. Okay. And then apart from that, okay, now this is one, yes, what you say, point which we need to know about. Okay, the networking guidelines which are there in your books also. And the networking guidelines which are there in your books also. Obviously, they were there in the study material of ICAI. That is why they are there in the books also. But those networking guidelines have now been revised. But surprisingly, in the RTP or in any updations, they've not mentioned about the same. And this amendment is again a networking guideline which had come 6 months before the attempt. So as such, if I look at it in the context of 6 months, it is applicable. But then not included in the RTP or so. But let us know about the same. Okay, what are the guidelines for networking of Indian CA forms 2021? Right, so the existing guidelines, yeah, and the new guidelines, little bit of change over there. So we just look into what are the new guidelines over there. The guidelines for networking of Indian CA forms 2021. Right, so networking guidelines, okay. Right, networking guidelines. Right, what are the networking guidelines? Okay, so now say there are 3 chartered CA firms, ABC and Company Chartered Accountants, XYZ and Company Chartered Accountants, PQR and Company Chartered Accountants. And 3 CA firms are there, or LLP, whatever, firm or LLP. Okay, now ABC is like amazing in doing tax audits. They are like, they have an upper hand, they have an expertise in this domain. Okay, XYZ super with internal audit doing. And they are wonderful with doing the internal audit. And PQR say very good with the stat audit or any consulting work or so, or with stat audit as such. So now, and say one is there in North India, right? Say one of this firm is in Mumbai, right? Say another firm, say it is in Hyderabad, and say another this firm, it is in Delhi. Okay. But then, always you realize in life, or even when you start your practice, that your growth is getting stagnated. Okay, so far, you started your practice with 100 square feet office, and now you have a 5,000 square feet office over there. Now there are 80 chartered accountants working in your firm, or whatever. But now you see that, some level of a stagnation has come. You're not going beyond a particular point over there. Okay, so it says, now chartered accountants, if you want to, you say, now our firm is having specialized in one area. That is why what happens, we are not able to provide the other services or so, or as such. Advisory, we are not having a good hand with, or merger amalgamation, we are not knowing about that. We are just a tax boutique. And the other day I met one CA, then I later came to know that the person is a CA. First I asked, okay, what are you doing? They are the general conversation. So I said, I'm working in a boutique. So when they say boutique, I thought it has to be something related to apparel, clothes and all of that. So then said, yeah, I'm working in a tax boutique. Okay, I said, oh, so I'm a chartered accountant. So I said, oh, that's the new trend then which has come up. Okay, there's a tax boutique also, which is now what they call over there. Anyways, right. So what are we talking about? Now one firm is specialist in tax, one is specialist in internal, one is specialist in stat audit. How about they joining hands together? So joining hands together, it says one, institute had created an option wherein you just create a network. Right, so say I just take the initials of each of them, A, X and P. Example I'm taking over there. And you create a AXP network. And this was the option given in the original networking guidelines as given in your books. Okay, but institute did not receive a great response for this one. And some 100 networks got registered, and then again, all good in the beginning, but then later on again, individual preferences and ego crashes. So then the purpose was not getting achieved. So then institute say, okay, let us give you 3 options for networking now. So option 2, which was already there, which is still there. Option 1, it says instead of a network, first you try with an alliance. Right, you create an alliance. Okay, you continue as your individual practice also, and you're showcasing to the world, right? Showcasing the strength and showcasing as a big unit, right? So you can create an alliance, right? So maybe it may not be right to mention over here in the professional context or what we are discussing over here, but this is just like an engagement. And just like, okay, yes, they have said yes, that type of a situation. Okay, then this is more like done, and the marriage is also done, that type of a situation, okay, where the network is created. And now what is happening in network also, they say, oh, one firm is very dominating, this ABC is like a jumbo firm over there, so then it says you can have a network with the lead firm concept. Right, so you can have a network with the lead firm concept, right? So these are the three models of networking which ICAI has come up with. So if it's a network with a lead firm and A is the lead firm, then the name will be A and Company Network, right? So to the world, X and P will not be known. The world will only be knowing A and Company, and that it has some other networking members along with it. Right, so there are three models of the networking. What are the three models? The alliance model, network model, and the lead firm model. Are you understanding that? Right, so following approaches, different firm coming together to form an alliance with a new name of alliance and continuing to practice independently and showcasing as an alliance to the world. To the world, you show that this is an alliance. Okay, approach to different firms coming together to form a network with a new network firm and practicing in the name of the firms belonging to the network. This model is divided into two options: network of firm in existing model by practicing an individual firm name, and network firm with a lead firm acting on behalf of the constituents of the network. So do you know alliance, network, and network with the lead firm? Is it clear to everyone so far? Then ICI issued three set of guidelines. I tried to prepare a table of all of three together. Right, so they have issued 20 pages, 26 pages, three set of guidelines over there. Guidelines for alliance, guidelines for networking, and guidelines for networking with the lead firm concept. Yes, we've just put it together in a table over here. Right, so first the definition. Are you all with me? Right, alliance. What does it say? Alliance, network, and this is also called network, but it is only with the lead firm concept. Okay, right. What does it say? Means a larger structure of a group of Indian CA firm. Because guideline, what is the name of the guideline? Only Indian CA firm. It says later on we'll come with international CA firm guideline also for networking. Right now it is only for the Indian CA firm. In all cases, what does it say? Alliance means a larger structure. It means a larger structure of a group of Indian CA firm. Here also, what does it say? Larger structure of a group of Indian CA firms. Is it clear? Coming together, which have come together. Why they have come together? For mutual benefit, right? By pooling the resources. Mutual benefit by pooling the resources. Mutual benefit by pooling the resources. Showcasing their combined strength. Showcasing their combined strength. Showcasing their combined strength. Having uniform policies and technology and collateral. Having uniform policies, technology and collateral. Having uniform policies, technology as collateral, showcasing themselves as one big unit, showcasing themselves as one big unit, showcasing themselves as one big unit. But what is the extra point for network with lead firm? With one lead firm acting on behalf of the member firm. Right? Otherwise, if you look into the definition of alliance and network, it is same. Right? What does it say? Larger structure of a group of Indian CA firms that have come together for mutual benefit by pooling resources, showcasing their combined strength, uniform policies and technology and collateral, and showcasing themselves as one big unit. Right? As one big unit, showcasing their combined strength. Is it clear so far? Right. So example, when four firms, an entity is allowed to join only one alliance, right? So that point has to come later. Right? So when four firms, A and company, B and company, C and company, D and company, come together to form an alliance, they may name their alliance as ABCD. They can also use the suffix and alliance, so ABCD and alliance. Right, so one, they can have an alliance called as ABCD and alliance. Then when four firms, ABCD, come together to form a network, they may name their network as ABCD, or they may wish to use the suffix and affiliates or network. Right, so ABCD and affiliates or ABCD network. Right, so ABCD alliance, first one. Second one, AXP network, or it could be AXP and affiliates. Right, or it could be called as AXP and affiliates. You know, CA firm, what it is called as ABC and company. right? Or ABC and Company LLP. Now you have to distinguish alliance, network from the partnership and LLP. No, that is why they say alliance or the network or the affiliates. Are you understanding that? Right. And in case of the ABCD come together to form a network, again they can use and affiliates or network. But what does it say? Selected by the constituent firm as the lead firm. So A and Company affiliates or A and Company network. Right, so your BCD name will not be shown in case of the network with the lead firm concept. Are you understanding that? Okay. Then what is the objective of creating an alliance or having a networking with a lead firm? Why does it say wider cooperation amongst the professionals? So all four, same point. What is the objective of the alliance? Wider cooperation amongst the professional. Then what does it say? Wider professional reach. And a wider professional reach. Again, common for all the same. Referral practices. That is one main reason why they join into these alliance and network. Right? Referral practices. Wider geographical presence. Wider geographical presence. Right? What we have? Wider geographical presence. Are you understanding that? Then sharing of a common name of alliance. Here, sharing of a common name of network, sharing of a common name of network. Right, so all these points. What is first point? Wider, yes, cooperation amongst the professionals. Second, sharing the common name. Third one, wider professional reach. Fourth one, referral practices. And fifth one, wider geographical presence. Like I told you, one is in Mumbai, one Delhi, Hyderabad. So now they will have a wider geographical presence. Wider cooperation amongst the professionals. Sharing of a common name. Wider professional reach. Referral practices and the wider geographical presence. Then what gets added additionally for a network and a network with a lead firm? What gets added for a network and the network with the lead firm in the objectives over there? What does it say? Pooling of the knowledge, guidance, training, resources and the infrastructure. Pooling of knowledge, guidance, training, resources and the infrastructure, and sharing of methodology, practices, strategy in domestic and international markets. So the 6 and 7 are the extra points for the network and the network with the lead firm concept. Right? These are the extra points for the network and the network with the lead firm concept. What is the extra point? Pooling of knowledge and sharing of methodology, practices and so. Right? Sharing of the methodologies, practices and so. Then again your alliance has to be registered with the institute. Now you will get a alliance registration number. Earlier we had studied you will get an MDP number. So many numbers. And a multidisciplinary partnership number. Now you'll get an alliance registration number. Then a network registration number, network registration number. Firms are free to carry on their practice as the independent firm. Firms are bound by the internal integration agreement. So alliances, you're not bound. And you can still continue your practice as an individual unit. But in case of network, what does it say? They are bound by the internal integration agreement. Internal agreement recognizing one of the firm as the lead firm. Right. Alliance may direct the best practices to be followed. Firms belonging to one's alliance cannot become a part of any other alliance or network. Once belonging to one network, you cannot become a part of any other network or alliance. And lead firm and its constituent cannot be allowed to become associate of another network or alliance. Any one alliance, any one network, or any one network with a lead firm concept. Any one of it, not multiple. And not multiple possible. Then empanelment. Empanelment, we had studied 611 second exception, responding to tenders and inquiry. And respond now, who will apply to respond to the tender inquiry? What does it say? All firms in the alliance can apply for the empanelment. All firms belonging to the network can apply for the empanelment separately. But third one, it says only the lead firm can apply for the empanelment. Right, so first two cases it says individual member firms, can they apply for the empanelment? Yes, but for the network with the lead firm, only the lead firm can apply for the empanelment. Okay, right, then what does it say? If one firm is doing the stat audit, can the other two do the internal audit? In my example, the other two. And I created an example of an alliance or a network over here. So if one of them is doing the stat audit, can the other two do the internal audit? Yes, no. Right? Then one of them is rotated. For the cooling period, is it has to be followed by the other two also? Yes, it has to be followed by the other two also. So these points are same for all the three. Right? What does it say? These points are same for all the three. Right? Then firms are free to join and exit alliance. Reconstitution has to be registered. Firms are bound by the network's internal integration agreement. And firms are again bound by the network's internal integration agreement. It's very easy to join and leave, join or leave an alliance, but difficult as such for a network or a network with a lead firm. Okay. Now you say, how can I don't know these people? They're from Delhi, they're from Hyderabad. So how do I come to know about the same? It says firms might need to have detailed knowledge of the other firm to make up their mind as to which firm they want to go for alliance or networking. So how will I get the information about the other firm? Oh, I want to do an alliance with this firm. I want to make a network with this firm. It says the information will be available on the self-service portal for the members to view and take the informed decision. Right? So it says before they make up their mind, it says you need to have the detailed knowledge of the other firm. Right, then any form of CA can become a part of any one alliance or any one network. Then ICI will give the model deed regarding entering into such alliance. Then name of the alliance should resemble the name of the member firm or the combination of acronym, like what I did, AXP. And the combination of the acronym. Alliance network should not bear the name of any god, goddess, deity, or which has no relationship with the name of the member firm. Or the best combination of CA and affiliate. And the best CA and affiliate. So it says it should not be giving any god, goddess, or any descriptive names, or name with smack of publicity will not be allowed. Names which resemble any of the existing firm will not be allowed. Brand name should be owned only by the Indian citizen who is resident in India. Alliance network will be permitted as a joint venture for a specific assignment. So you were getting one big audit. For that one big audit, you created an alliance and then alliance over. Is that possible? Yes, such alliance network is also possible. Then deeds, MOUs, it's okay if it is signed by only the managing partner and not to be signed by all the partners. Only firm LLP. This could be an MCQ in the exam. Who can become a member of an alliance or a network? Only a firm or only an LLP. Individual practitioner are not permitted to be a part of alliance or network. It says first you at least become a partner in a firm. First at least you become a member of an LLP. Then think about networking and alliance. Here you cannot tolerate a single other individual. You're practicing individually, sitting in one corner of the world. It says no networking alliance option for you. Right? So it is only for the partnerships and the LLP, firms and the LLP. Any agreement or so will have to be filed with the ICAI, without which registration will not be given. The legal status could be that of an association of person. It may have its own bank account, obtain PAN and GST also. Right? Alliance network can take up non-attestation assignments in its own name. Right? Prepare a common balance sheet and get the same audited. Alliance network can have a website of its own. Appropriate guidelines will be prepared by the ethical standard board, right? So will be prepared. So these are quite under the development right now. But then yes, they've come up with the three concepts over there: alliance, network, and network with the lead firm concept. What you should be knowing: the objectives of the network, of the alliance, the network, and the network with the lead firm concept. And what could be the name of your alliance? AXP or AXP Alliance. Network, AXP Network, AXP and affiliates. And if it's network with a lead firm, then A and Company Network, right? A and Company Network or A and Company Affiliate. That should be the option of the network with the lead firm concept. Right? So that is what is new in the chapter of ethics. What is new in the chapter of ethics? One, the NOCLAR, and second, the MDP guideline. You remember MDP guideline 224 we studied over there. And then we also have these guidelines for the networking of the Indian CA firm. What are the three options for the networking? Right, alliance, network, and the network with the lead firm concept. Right, so does that complete our entire discussion regarding ethics? Right, the ethics we complete with the entire discussion. So after the break, we look into the standards. Okay, review process. Right, peer means a person of similar standing, and review means an examination. Okay, so what is the definition of peer review? It says peer review is an examination of the systems and procedures at the practice unit. And a system. Did we talk about any system of the CA firm? Which system of the CA firm did we talk about? Quality control system, SQC1, LEHEM. It's the systems and procedures at the practice unit. So it's an examination of the systems and procedures at the practice unit. Why is the reviewer doing the examination of the systems and procedures at the practice unit? One, in order to check whether the practice unit is doing the work in compliance with the technical, ethical, and the professional standards. TEP, comply with technical, ethical, and the professional standards. And second, to ensure the quality of assurance services. Second, to ensure the quality of the assurance services. Right? So why why peer review? Why peer review? Right? It's an examination of the systems and procedures at the practice unit. Why? To check compliance with the technical, ethical, professional standards, and also to ensure the quality of assurance services. Right? Also to ensure the quality of assurance services. Right? So that's given in the definition of peer review also. Right? The quality, compliance with the technical, ethical, professional standards, and the quality of the assurance services given in the definition. Same two points there in the objective of peer review also. What does it say? Technical, ethical, professional standards, and the quality of assurance services. Right? Look into the scope of peer review. What does it say? Technical, ethical, professional standards. Then the second point divided under two. It says quality of reporting and systems and procedures for carrying out the assurance services. So again, similar. Comply with technical, ethical, professional standards, and the quality of assurance services. So definition of peer review. Then you have the objective of peer review. Then the scope of peer review. What is scope of peer review? Compliance with, so when the reviewer comes for the peer review, what all he is going to check? Compliance with the technical, ethical, professional standards. He is going to check the quality of the reporting. He is going to check the systems and procedures for carrying out the assurance services. He is also going to check, the reviewer is also going to check the training programs conducted for the staff. Again, they made an MCQ for this one. Okay, the reviewer, when he came for the review, he wants to check whether adequate training programs are being conducted by the staff. However, the CA firm is of the opinion that this should not be included in the scope of peer review. What do you say? It is included in the scope of the peer review. And training programs for the staff. Okay, is the firm, practice unit, conducting adequate training program for the staff, including the article assistants and so. Then whether the practice unit is complying with the directions, guidelines of the council for members and compliance with the directions, guidelines of the council relating to article. This is what is covered in the scope of peer review. Right? What is covered in the scope? Compliance with technical, ethical, professional standards, quality of reporting, systems and procedures for carrying out the assurance services. And then what does it say? Training program for staff, compliance with the directions, guidelines for members, and compliance with the directions, guidelines for the article. Right. What are the two objectives? Comply with technical, ethical, professional standards, and the quality of the assurance services, right? So another question over there, what do you mean by the technical, ethical, and the professional standards? Again, already asked in exams, right? Accounting standards issued by the ICAI, AS prescribed under 133, Ind AS prescribed under 133. Then standards. Standards, what does it say? Engagement and quality control standards, statements, guidance notes, standards on internal audit, guidelines notification. Right? So one, accounting standards, then auditing standards. Then you have the framework for the preparation and the presentation of financial statements, preface to SQC, audit, review, assurance standards, and so. So the framework and the preface, and also the provisions of the relevant statutes, rules, and regulations which are applicable in the context of the specific engagement. Right? So provisions, like if I'm bank audit, then LFA are applicable. Any other company, CARO reporting may be applicable. So provisions of the relevant statute, rules, or regulation which are applicable in the context of the specific engagement. Right? So this is what you mean by technical, ethical, and professional standards. Right. What was the second objective of peer review? Quality of assurance services. So next question which we have over there, okay, what is not included in assurance services? Areas which are excluded from the scope of the peer review. Right? Areas which are excluded from the scope of the peer review. What are we talking about? Quality of assurance services. Yes, quality of the assurance services. So what is not included in assurance services? It says the management consultancy services, due diligence services. Then representing client before the tax authorities, preparing the tax return. Compiling financial statements, compiling other than financial statements, testifying as expert witness, providing expert opinion. So again, 2222, not included in the scope of the peer review, which is areas which are not included in the list of the assurance services, areas excluded from the scope of peer review. Right? So can your firm be providing these services also? Yes, but will it be included in the scope of peer review? No, it will not be included. So you're representing client before income tax authorities. Will that work be checked by the reviewer? No. You're giving an expert opinion. Will that work be checked by the reviewer? No, it will not be checked by the reviewer. Are you able to follow what we are talking about over here? Okay, right. So if we just come to this... yes, the question bank. Peer review entire chapter is sitting in the question bank, and 1 or 2 questions remaining also they keep on asking. Every exam almost they keep on asking regarding the peer review and so. Okay, right. So what does it say? This is the QRB. Right, write short note on peer review. What are the objectives of peer review? What is the scope of peer review? What do you mean by technical, ethical, professional standards? What are the areas not to be examined by reviewer? Areas excluded from the scope of peer review. M appointed as a peer reviewer for K Associates has asked for all the compilation and due diligence engagement out. Yes, he was appointed to do peer review. Is the reviewer supposed to check compilation and due diligence engagement? No. Carried out by K Associates for her review during the period considered for peer review purpose. She also sent out a mail to the peer review board regarding her selection. K, the managing partner of the firm, seeks your advice on this matter. What does it say? M is not correct, as due diligence and compilation engagement are not covered in the scope of the assurance engagement, and peer review is directed at the assurance engagement only. Do you understand that point over there? Okay, right. So now let's come to the further questions regarding the peer review. So at least will you remember this much? Comply with technical, ethical, professional standards and the quality of assurance services. And then now we come to the applicability of the periodicity of the peer review, right? R raised to 10, right? Revamped, new. And it has been changed entirely. The applicability and the periodicity of the peer review. Right. So what does it say? For the purpose of applicability of the peer review, all the CA firms, practice units have been divided under 2. The level 1 units under peer review and the level 2. Earlier we had 1, 2, 3. Now it is only 1 and 2. Level 1 and level 2. Level 1, peer review to be done at least once in every 3 years. And level 2, peer review to be done at least once in every 4 years. Okay. And now they also have a concept of a special case review over there, right? Also concept of a special case review. Okay, now when would your CA firm, so you are a practicing CA, that means a practice unit, is peer review applicable to your firm? Yes, applicable to all CA firm. So when would the peer review of your firm be done? At least once in every 3 years, if you are doing the if you are the statutory central auditor of any bank or insurance company. So private bank, foreign bank, cooperative bank, regional rural bank, any bank or insurance company, if you are the statutory central auditor. So if you have any bank audit as the statutory central auditor, the peer review of your firm has to be done at least once in every 3 years. Any one of these you are doing, and the peer review of your firm has to be done at least once in every 3 years. Do you understand that, right? Okay, so statutory central auditor of the bank or the insurance company. Statutory audit of central or state public sector undertaking. Second half, I'll come to it later. Statutory audit of asset management company or the mutual fund. Statutory audit of enterprises whose equity or debt is listed in India or abroad. Statutory audit of any body corporate, including trust, which are covered under PIEs. That's the new term nowadays we have, the public interest entities, right? So including trusts which are covered under the public interest entities, right? Then what does it say? Statutory audit of any entity preparing financial statements as per the Ind AS. Right, I've come to the last point over there. Statutory audit of any entity preparing financial statements as per the Ind AS. So which audits if I'm doing, I would be a level 1 unit, bank or insurance company, central or state public sector undertaking, asset management company, mutual fund company, any company whose equity or debt is listed in India or abroad. Statutory audit of any body corporate, including trust, which are covered under the public interest entities, and the statutory audit of entities preparing financial statements as per the Ind AS. Is the first list clear to everyone? Right. Now the second list. What is the second point over there? Statutory audit of central or state public sector undertaking. And it says central cooperative societies having a turnover exceeding 250 crore or having a net worth exceeding 5 crore. So central cooperative societies having the turnover of more than 250 crore or having the net worth of more than 5 crore. Then statutory audit of entities who've raised funds from public or bank or financial institution or by way of donations or contributions of more than 50 crore. So raised funds from bank, financial institution, public or by donations or contribution of more than 50 crore. Then statutory audit of entities having net worth of more than 100 crore or having a turnover of more than 250 crore, right? For central cooperative society, what is the net worth? 5 crore. For central cooperative society, what is the net worth? For central cooperative society, what is the net worth? 5 crore. Here it is how much? Net worth of 100 crore. And turnover is same. Turnover 250 crore. For other audits also turnover is what? 250 crore. Right. Then what does it say? Statutory audit of entities which have been funded by the central or state government of more than 50 crore, and statutory audit of NBFCs having deposits of 100 crore or more. Right. Having deposits of 100 crore or more. Right. Clear to everyone? What are we discussing? The level 1 units. Why I first took all the blue color? Because there are no monetary limits over there. Any bank, any insurance company, central or state public sector undertaking, asset management, mutual fund listed in or outside India, any body corporate including trust which is a public interest entity or preparing financial statements as per Ind AS. Then what does it say? Central cooperative society, turnover of more than 250 or net worth of more than 5 crore. Right. Then what does it say for the statutory audit which has raised funds of entities which have raised funds from public, bank, financial institution, donation, contribution or funded by central or state government? Everything is 50 crore only, no? And funded by central or state government also 50 crore. Then net worth of more than 100 crore or turnover of more than 250 crore, or it says NBFCs having deposits of 100 crore or more. Right. So we have the 5 crore over there. Then after that we have the 50 crore over there. Then the 100 crore, and then we also have the 250 crore. Right. 5 crore is only for the central cooperative societies having net worth of exceeding 5 crore. 50 crore is what? Funding. Right, funding from the public, bank, financial institution, donation, contribution or funding from the central or state government of more than 50 crore. NBFC, deposits of more than 100 crore. NBFCs, deposits of more than 100 crore, and also statutory audit of entities having net worth of more than 100 crore. And turnover is for central cooperative societies also and for any other entity audit also. But it says turnover is exceeding the 250 crore. Right, turnover is exceeding the 250 crore. Is it clear to everyone? Right, the applicability of the peer review, the level 1 units under peer review, and then you have the level 2 unit. If you're the statutory central auditor of a bank, then you are a level 1 unit. However, if you're doing the audit of any branch or department of any bank or so, then you're considered to be a level 2 unit. Statutory, internal, concurrent system, tax auditor of of any branch or offices of the public sector undertaking any bank or insurance company, then you are a level 2 unit. Then what does it say? Statutory audit of NBFC is not covered in L1 above. What is covered in L1? Deposits of more than 100 crore. Deposits of 100 crore or above. Then also what does it say? UDIN generated by the practice unit more than the specified number determined by the board. Right? So more than a specific number of UDIN generated, which will be specified by the peer review board. And last one, it says balancing figure. Any other practice unit providing the assurance or other services not covered above. Right, then can the board also ask based on the information from secretary, ICI, disciplinary directorate? Yes, order a special review of the practice unit? Yes, it is possible. Can a client request for a practice unit of its CA? Can a client, say you Reliance is, PwC is doing the audit of Geo Limited. Can Geo Limited request the peer review board of ICAI, please this PwC do their peer review? Yes, the client can request. And can the CA firm itself send a request on their own? Yes. So practice unit not selected may suo moto apply. An auditee, client may request the board for the conduct of a peer review. In both cases, the board has to act within 30 days from the date of receipt of such request. So can your client request to the peer review board that please get my auditors peer reviewed? Yes, even the client can send a request to the peer review board. Is it clear to everyone? Are you able to follow what we are studying over here? Okay, right. Then the peer review board, what does it say? Maximum 12 members, 50 members, at least 50% has to be council members, and others should be individuals of high integrity and reputation, right? Others should be individuals of the high integrity and reputation. Term of 2/3 of the members shall be for 3 years, right? Then what does it say? A member of the disciplinary committee or the disciplinary board shall not be a member of the peer review board. Right? So if you're part of the disciplinary board of the ICAI, you remember first schedule, second or both schedule, board of disciplinary committee. Right? Then it says, can you be a member of the peer review board? Then you cannot be a member of the peer review board. What is the quorum? 1/3 of the members, but not less than 3 members, including the chairperson, and his absence, the vice chairperson should be present, and at least one meeting to be held every 3 months. Right? So like board meeting, at least 4 times in a year, that type. Right? At least 4 times in a year. Eligibility to be a reviewer. Again, a trending question, right? Recently asked in your exams regarding the eligibility to be a reviewer. Right? So originally when peer review statement came, it said 15 years of experience. Right? Then they came down to 10 years of experience. Now they further come down to at least 7 years of audit experience. And so they've reduced it for the qualification for being a reviewer. What does it say? At least 7 years of experience. Then you were working as a CA, that is, you were an employee chartered accountant, you were in the industry, and then you quit your job and then you started your practice. Then what does it say? 10 years of experience in industry and 3 years of audit experience in practice. Right? Then you say, ma'am, I did job only for 6 years and then after that I started my practice. Then obviously condition 1 applies to you, at least 7 years of audit experience. Students have a question that what after 7 years if I quit my job and then start my practice, then obviously condition 1 will apply to you. Right? So at least 7 years of experience in practice. If you were in industry, at least 10 years of experience in the industry and 3 years of the audit experience in practice. Right? So 7, here it is 10 plus 3. So 7, 10 plus 3, and has undergone the requisite training, right? So you have to undergo the requisite training of the peer review board, and you also have to clear the requisite test for the peer review as prescribed by the board. So you have to undergo the training and also the test, right? Also, in addition to that, you have to give a declaration as prescribed by the board and also a declaration of the confidentiality, right? So declaration as prescribed and also a declaration of confidentiality. Okay, right? A member shall not be eligible. So one, they say who will be eligible? 7 years, 10 plus 3, undergone the requisite training and test, has given the declaration. And now what does it say? A member shall not be eligible for appointed as a reviewer if. You will not be eligible for appointment as a reviewer if any disciplinary proceeding or action is pending against him. That is, right now it is going on. Right? Or it has already been found, he has already been found guilty of professional or other misconduct by ICAI, or has been convicted by a competent court within or outside India. Right? So what are the first 3 points? Is it like the disqualification for the reviewer over here? Any disciplinary proceeding pending, has been found guilty of professional or other misconduct, has been convicted by a competent court, or he or his partners or personnel has any obligation or conflict of interest in the practice unit. That is, your uncle is a partner in the firm or so. Right? So conflict of interest in the practice unit. And so interesting, if you've undergone your articleship under any of the partner of the practice unit. So you say, oh, that firm, review, peer review, I want to go. That's my boss. I want to find out the deficiencies in their system now. It says you cannot go there. Right? If you've undergone the training, articleship under any of the partners of the practice unit, can the reviewer go for review over there? No. Then earlier what it was, okay, once you do the review of a particular practice unit, Once you do the peer review of a particular practice unit, you cannot accept any assignment for a period of 2 years. Now it says before also you should have not done any assignment for 2 years, and after also you cannot do any assignment for 2 years. So now they put the condition of before also, that past 2 years also you should have not done any assignment for that practice unit, and next 2 years also you will not do any assignment for that practice unit. Only then you are eligible to be a reviewer. That is, say CAA, he wants to go for doing the peer review of, say, PwC. CAA, he wants to go for doing the peer review of PwC, right? So what is the eligibility over here, right? CAA, he should not have any disciplinary proceeding going on, has not been found guilty of professional or other misconduct, has not been convicted by any court, does not have any conflict of interest with the practice unit, has not undergone articleship under any of the partner of the practice unit, and last 2 years has not done any assignment for the practice unit. And because we said ARIS, applying, requesting, inviting, securing work from another CA in practice. So it says no professional assignment with the practice unit for last 2 years. And once you do the peer review, next 2 years also you cannot do any professional assignment. Right. Reviewer, again, it is an individual who needs to go for the review. Maximum he can take one article, not one article, one CA. I'm so sorry. Maximum he can take one assistant. He cannot take an article rather. One assistant who shall be a CA and a person who does not attract any of the disqualification. So maximum how many people the reviewer can take with him for the review? One CA, maybe partner, maybe employee, but only one assistant who shall be a CA. Right, then you have the stepwise approach of the reviewer. Again, first you understand the how many assurance services. Now, once a peer review of a practice unit is being done, what does it say? The audit assignments of last 3 years, the assurance services provided in the last 3 years will be included in the peer review. Right, so when the reviewer comes to your CA form, which assurance services he is going to check? The assurance services which you provided in the last 3 years. Right, that's the scope of peer review. And so this year the peer review of your firm is happening. So this year is 2024. So 23, 22, 21, whatever assurance services were done by your firm, that can be covered in the scope of the peer review. Are you understanding all of this? Yes, everyone, are you able to follow? Okay, right. So it says the number of assurance engagement to be selected depends upon the exercise of judgment. The practice unit may have policies and procedures. Now, reviewer may go for a combination of compliance and substantive. So now when reviewer is doing the peer review, he will do the control testing at the practice unit and also perform the substantive procedures at the practice unit. Compliance procedures, he is going to check the quality control system in the practice unit. And substantive procedures, he is going to check the working papers of the practice unit. Are you understanding the word practice unit, reviewer, yes, assurance engagement and all of that? Everyone? So reviewer may follow a combination of compliance and substantive. So he will test the controls at the practice unit, right? And then also perform the substantive procedures, right? Then also perform the substantive procedures. Obligations of the practice unit. Recent past question asked in exams. Right? Obligations of the practice unit. Are you all able to, does it hit your mind what is a practice unit? What is practice unit? The CA form where the peer review is taking place. Reviewer, the person who is gone for doing the review, and peer review board who facilitates the entire peer review process. So now what are the obligations of the practice unit? Right? So like, what are the rights of company auditor? Company auditor, when I go for audit of a company like Reliance, what rights do I have? Right to access books of account, right to obtain information explanation. Then they say when you're doing any investigation or so, you also have the right to get all assistance, which they are reasonably able to give. So now it says, see, it is your turn. And you have to allow the reviewer access to any record document or so. You have to give the reviewer the explanation of further particulars. You have to give the reviewer all assistance in connection with the peer review. Right, so just whatever you want from the client, now that same all you need to do it for the reviewer. Give him all the access to books of account, give him all the information explanation, then also give him all the assistance in connection with the peer review. Okay, now say let's take an example. Say the practice unit is in is some southern part of India, example, and some policy procedures of the firm, just as an example, some policy procedure document of the firm is in some regional language over there, right? So say some Tamil, yes, some Malayalam, some in Kannada, some regional language it is there. And now this reviewer, he does not know those regional language. Right? He does not know that regional language, and then these policy procedures of the firm written in Kannada or so, or some in a regional language over there. What does it say? The practice unit has to provide the translation in English or Hindi if the matter is in any other language, and if such translation is requested by the reviewer. Where any information or matter relevant to a practice unit is recorded otherwise than in a legible form, that is otherwise than in English or Hindi. What does it say? The practice unit shall provide and present to the reviewer a reproduction of such information or matter or of the relevant part of it in a legible form with the translation in English or Hindi if the matter is in any other language, if such translation is requested by the reviewer. Only if the reviewer asks for it. Do they need to provide the translation of the same? Yes, they have to provide the translation of the same. That's the obligation of the practice unit. Obligation of the reviewer, can they take extracts of the working paper? No. They have to complete the work within the prescribed time, and then they have to retain the working paper, and the paper can be called any time within 18 months of submission of the review report by the peer review board. So what are the obligations of the reviewer? Can they take extracts of the working papers? No, they cannot take any extracts of the working papers, right? Then they have to complete the peer review within the time and also document all the working papers, right? And submit a copy of his working papers to the board if called for by the board within 18 months of the submission of the review report, right? So 1.5 years. Right, 1.5 years. Okay, right. Now coming to the peer review process, right? So lot of content over here, no, which we have in the entire discussion. Now coming to the peer review process, right? What is the entire peer review process? Which are the characters in the entire peer review process we have? Practice unit, reviewer, and the peer review board. Okay, so what is the trigger point? All of you listen to me very, very carefully now, the entire peer review process. What is the trigger point of the peer review process? How does it start? An intimation is sent by the peer review board to the practice unit. An intimation is sent. A practice unit so selected is notified by the board. Right, so an intimation is sent by the peer review board to the practice unit. So you get a letter from ICAI, so your CA firm, saying that your firm has been selected for peer review. Now, once the practice unit, so assume this is the practice unit. All of you get it over here? This is the practice unit, right? I am the reviewer, and say this is the peer review board of the ICAI, right? So the peer review board of ICAI will send a notification to the practice unit that your firm has been selected for the peer review. Now what the practice unit has to do? It has to give a declaration come questionnaire. Right? That questionnaire, had we seen it on the website? Right, that questionnaire, right? The declaration come acceptance to be signed by reviewer, the questionnaire for the practice unit, right? So this questionnaire, so the declaration come questionnaire in the form approved by the board shall be submitted by the practice unit within 7 days from the date of the practice unit has been notified by the board, so that the reviewer to be allotted from the panel of 3 reviewers can be identified by the board as per the declaration cum questionnaire submitted by the practice unit. So what is the starting point? Peer review board sent a notification. Then what you need to do? You need to send a declaration cum questionnaire. What declaration you have to give to the peer review board? That whether you are a level 1 or whether you are a level 2. Depending upon whether you are level 1 or level 2, accordingly they will give you an option of 3 reviewers. Right? Accordingly, now the peer review board will give you the option of the 3 reviewers. So name of 3 reviewers shall be recommended by the board to the practice unit so selected. Then the practice unit has to select 1 out of the 3 reviewer and intimate the same to the board within 7 days of the receipt of the name. Right? Within 7 days of the receipt of the name. So what first happened? Notification by the peer review board to the practice unit. Then within 7 days, they gave the declaration cum questionnaire. Then the peer review board gave them a choice of panel of 3 reviewer. Then once they receive the panel, one of them has to be selected within 7 days. Then what does it say? The board will now intimate the reviewer. So board will now say if they've selected A, B, C, 3 options were there, they selected A. Now the board will inform the reviewer and seek the reviewer's consent within 7 days. Right, so now reviewer has to give his consent within 7 days. Right, so if you see everything over here is 7 days only. Right, within 7 days. Then on intimation by the board of the reviewer's consent. Right, so now what happened? The peer review board told me that you have been selected. Then I have to give my consent within 7 days. Then my consent will be communicated by the peer review board to the practice unit. There is no time limit given over there. And once the reviewer's consent has been intimated by the board to the practice unit, once the reviewer's consent has been intimated by the board to the practice unit within 2 days. Now this is the change over here. Within 2 days, provide the copy of the completely filled up questionnaire earlier submitted to the board. So earlier that questionnaire you had submitted it to the board. Now you need to submit it to the reviewer, right? Along with the following. Along with what? A completely filled up questionnaire submitted to the board. Yes, but with the board to the reviewer, along with the details of any proceedings against the practice unit. So any proceedings going on against the practice unit, it says during the period of 3 financial years preceding the period of review or at any time thereafter till the date of submission of the duly filled in questionnaire. Right, so the completely filled up questionnaire and also the details of any proceedings going on against the practice unit. Right, then what does it say? The peer review board can also call for relevant information from the UDIN. So who can call for the relevant information from the UDIN? The peer review board, not the reviewer, right? MCQ. Right? The peer review board may call for the relevant information from the UDIN and may share the concerned information with the concerned details with the reviewer, which shall form part of the review. So, if they want to see what assurance engagement they have done, can you come to know it from the UDIN which have been generated? So it says this information, the peer review board can get it from the UDIN and they can give it to the reviewer. Okay, then after that, what does it say? Once the practice unit has provided the information to the reviewer within 2 days. Within 2 days of the intimation of the reviewer's consent. Now what does it say? The reviewer shall within 7 days of receiving the information select a sample of the assurance services that he would like to review and intimate the same to the practice unit. So now the reviewer needs to select, say you've done 100 assurance engagements in the last 3 years. So now the reviewer might select the 3 files and he needs to intimate the same to the practice unit. The reviewer may seek for further additional clarification. Then the reviewer will go for the on-site review. And what does it say? How much time to be given before the reviewer goes for the on-site review? It says at least 5 days time. Earlier this was 15 days. They brought it down directly to 5 days. Right? They brought it down directly to 5 days. 15 days they used to entirely change the look of the file only. Once they know these 3 files have been selected for peer review, absolute, makeup done of those 3 files over there. And all those team members dumped into one conference cabin and told them, just, fine tune this file over there. And when the reviewer comes, then everything looks good. So now what does it say? 5 days. At least 5 days time before he comes for the on-site review. And it says the entire peer review process, right from the date when the intimation was sent by the peer review board to the practice unit, has to be completed within 60 days. Earlier this was 90 days. Right, the entire process, right from the date when the notification was sent, the entire process needs to be completed within 60 days. Right, now the reviewer will come for the on-site review. Then what did it say? On-site review should not extend beyond 7 working days. So the original text, it was 7 days. Then the previous version, they had made it 7 to 15 working days. Now they've again brought it down to 7 working days. Right, now they have again brought it down to the 7 working days. And when the reviewer comes for the on-site review, how many days he can come maximum? 7 working days. Reviewer, when he comes for the on-site review, maximum how much time he can come for the on-site review? 7 working days. First, he will do the review of the general controls. What are the general controls we have over there? ISCAs. Right? What are the general control? Independence, maintenance of professional skills and standards, consultation, office administration, and the staff recruitment, supervision, and development. And the staff recruitment, supervision, and development. Right? So review of the general control. Right? What are the general controls the reviewer will check at the practice unit? SCAS. Independence, professional, staff recruitment, supervision, maintenance of professional skills and standards, consultation, office administration, and the staff recruitment, supervision, and development. Right. Then the number of assurance service engagement. Again, a question asked in your exams. Right. Now, how many files to be selected by the reviewer? And how many files? Like I told you, our reviewer example, he selected 3 files. Now, what does it say? How to decide how many files to select? It depends upon the SQC, depends upon the methodology adopted, depends on the number of partners, number of location, and the fees charged. Right? So these are the factors on the basis of factors affecting sample size, that type. What are the factors affecting the sample size, right? The number of partners, number of location, the fees paid by the practice, the fees charged, the GST paid by the practice unit, the methodology adopted, and the SQC. Right? Then the reviewer will now do the actual review of the records, right? So compliance procedure, proper control procedures are being followed, and then substantive, wherein he'll check the working papers, right? Wherein he'll check the working paper, and the following areas shall be considered. So when he is doing the compliance and substantive of those 3 selected files, see, first so we did the review of general controls, no, ISCAS. Now we are checking doing the compliance and substantive for those 3 selected files in my example. So what are you going to check? Assurance service records for administration, review and evaluation of system of internal control, that how did the auditor, while doing assurance services, did evaluation of internal control, how he did the substantive test, how he checked for the presentation disclosure, how he reads the conclusion, and how he issued the report. Right? So all these are the areas which are to be considered by the reviewer while doing the peer review. And then at the end of the peer review, you need to issue the peer review report. Right? So the peer review report shall state the system of quality control for assurance services has been designed so as to carry out the assurance services in a manner which ensures compliance with the technical, ethical, and the professional standards. Okay, right? So first it says, after the completion of the on-site review, the preliminary report, the draft report is to be shared by the reviewer to the practice unit. So after I finish the on-site review, now what does it say? Draft report, I have to first give it to the practice unit, and practice unit within 5 days. Earlier this was 7 days. What does it say? Within 5 days of the receipt of the finding, make any submissions or representations in writing to the reviewer. So that's nothing but the response to the preliminary report. So reviewer will send the preliminary report to the practice unit. Then practice unit has to give its reply to the reviewer within 5 days. Okay. Now 2 possibility. Reviewer is satisfied with the responses, or the reviewer is not satisfied with the responses given by the practice unit. Are you able to follow that? Reviewer is satisfied with the responses, or the reviewer is not satisfied. If the reviewer is satisfied with the reply, what does it say? He will submit the peer review report to the board along with initial finding, response by the practice unit, and the manner in which the response has been dealt with. A copy of the report will also be submitted to the practice unit. So if he's happy, then what he will do? Issue the peer review report to the board along with the initial finding, response, the manner in which the responses have been dealt with, and the copy of the report will also be given to the practice unit. However, if the reviewer is not satisfied with the responses, then he will issue a modified report to the board incorporating the reason, and then the board may order a follow-on review to be conducted after 1 year, which can also be reduced to 6 months, but not less than 6 months. So after 6 months or after 1 year, the reviewer will again go to the practice unit for the follow-on review, then check whether the deficiencies have been worked upon, and then issue the final report. Right? Once the peer review board receives the peer review report, then they will issue the peer review certificate. right? Or they may order a follow-on review if peer review certificate cannot be issued, right? If peer review certificate cannot be issued, right? Any practice unit who does not have the valid peer is valid. What does it say? Validity of the peer review certificate has expired. All documents signed during that period will be considered to be invalid, right? And what does it say? Submit all documents at least 1 month before the date of the expiry of the previous certificate, right? So when do you need to apply for the peer review or so? At least 1 month before the date of expiry of the previous